Tonight we're stepping back in time, way back, to a place where cities floated on water and gardens bloomed on man-made islands. Imagine a cityscape not of concrete and steel, but of verdant green, stretching across a shimmering lake. A place so utterly alien to our modern sensibilities that you probably wouldn't survive a day there without a serious case of cultural whiplash. And let's be honest, a profound inability to navigate anything. We're diving deep into the heart of the Aztec Empire, exploring their incredible ingenuity, their deep connection to the earth, and the often overlooked art of mud maintenance. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Also, let me know where you're listening from and what time it is for you. It's always fascinating to see how far these sleepy stories travel. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You find yourself standing on the edge of a vast, gleaming lake. The air is thick with the scent of damp earth, rich vegetation, and something subtly smoky, perhaps from distant cooking fires. Before you, a city rises from the water, not in rigid, unyielding stone, but in a breathtaking mosaic of green. This is Tenochtitlan, the magnificent capital of the Aztec Empire, a city that defies your every expectation of what a grand metropolis should be. You notice the shimmering reflections of colossal temples in the calm water, their stone facades carved with intricate designs of serpents and eagles. But it's not the temples that truly captivate your eye right now. It's the endless patchwork of rectangular plots, each a vibrant emerald hue, stretching as far as you can see across the lake's surface. These are the Chinempas, the legendary floating gardens, and they are nothing short of an agricultural marvel. You step closer, the gentle lapping of water against the lake's edge a soothing rhythm. The ground beneath your feet feels surprisingly firm, a testament to the Aztecs' engineering prowess. You can almost feel the rich, dark soil teeming with life, promising bounty. The sun, a warm, golden orb, casts long shadows across the water, making the greens of the Chinempas even more vivid. A gentle breeze rustles through the reeds that line the edges of these islands, creating a soft, whispering sound that invites you to lean in and listen. You observe the meticulous arrangement of the Chinempas. They aren't simply random patches of earth, but a highly organized system of raised fields, separated by narrow canals. The canals are like liquid roadways, shimmering under the sunlight, alive with the movement of small boats. You see a family in one such boat, gliding effortlessly between two Chinempas, their paddles barely disturbing the water. They are transporting baskets overflowing with vibrant produce, plump tomatoes, verdant squash, and ears of corn, their kernels shining like polished jewels. It's a scene of tranquil productivity, a testament to a civilization that understood how to live in harmony with its environment, rather than dominate it. You can't help but marvel at the sheer scale of it all. Imagine the planning, the sheer human effort required to construct something so vast, so intricate, and so utterly functional. It's truly a feat of engineering that would make modern city planners scratch their heads and wonder if they've been doing it all wrong. One mainstream historical fact you recall is that these Chinempas were not truly floating, in the sense of being untethered rafts. Instead, they were anchored to the lake bed, formed by layers of mud, decaying vegetation, and stakes. They were, in essence, artificial islands, built up over time to create fertile agricultural land where none existed naturally. This clever design allowed the Aztecs to expand their food production exponentially, supporting the massive population of Tenochtitlan. It's a bit like building a skyscraper, but sideways and with more dirt. You lean down and scoop a handful of the rich, dark earth from the edge of a chinempa. It feels cool and crumbly, teeming with the promise of life. You notice tiny, intricate roots intertwined within the soil, evidence of the constant growth and decay that fueled this incredible system. The air around you hums with the gentle buzz of insects, a sign of a healthy ecosystem. The aroma of damp earth is now mingled with the faint sweetness of blossoms, carried on the breeze. You stand and watch as a group of workers, their movements fluid and practiced, tend to the crops. They're not using heavy machinery or noisy tractors. Instead, they work with simple tools, digging sticks, woven baskets, and their own two hands. There's a quiet dignity to their labor, a respect for the land that's palpable. You realize that this wasn't just farming, it was a delicate art, a constant dance with nature. A quirky tidbit you recall is that the Aztecs also used the nutrient-rich mud from the bottom of the canals to fertilize their chinempas. This constant dredging not only provided essential nutrients for their crops, but also helped to maintain the depth of the canals, ensuring easy navigation for their boats. It was a perfectly sustainable cycle, a closed-loop system long before anyone invented the term sustainability. You can almost hear them saying, "Why buy fertilizer when you can just scoop it out of your backyard?" You see a young child, no older than 5 or 6, helping an elder to clear some weeds from a small plot. The child's fingers, though small, move with surprising dexterity, a testament to how early these skills were passed down. It's a generational knowledge, a living library of agricultural wisdom. You think about how different this is from modern agriculture, where often the connection between farmer and land is tenuous, mediated by massive machines and complex supply chains. Here, the connection is immediate, intimate, and deeply personal. This leads you to ponder a scholarly debate. How extensive were these chinempas? Historians still argue whether they covered nearly all of Lake Texcoco or were concentrated in specific, highly productive zones. Some scholars suggest that the estimates of their size have been exaggerated over time, while others maintain that their scale was truly immense, a testament to the Aztecs' ability to transform their environment. It's a bit like arguing over how many sprinkles are on a giant donut. Everyone agrees there are a lot, but the exact number remains a delicious mystery. The sun begins to dip lower in the sky, casting a warm, golden glow across the water. The reflections of the chinempas shimmer like liquid gold, and the air grows cooler, carrying the faint scent of wood smoke from the distant city. You walk along a narrow pathway that separates two chinempas, the soft earth yielding slightly beneath your feet. The sounds of the city, once a distant hum, are now more distinct, the rhythmic thud of a maize grinder, the distant shouts of vendors in the marketplace, the cheerful chatter of children playing near the water's edge. You pass a small, thatched roof dwelling nestled at the corner of a chinempa, its walls adorned with brightly colored textiles. Smoke curls lazily from a small opening in the roof, hinting at a meal being prepared inside. The scent of cooking, a savory aroma of corn and chilies, wafts towards you, making your stomach rumble gently. You realize that these chinempas weren't just farms, they were living spaces, integral parts of the community. Families lived and worked on them, their lives interwoven with the rhythm of the planting and harvesting seasons. It's a far cry from your average suburban cul-de-sac, where the closest you get to farming is arguing with your neighbor about who gets to mow the lawn first. You observe a woman meticulously tending to a row of flowering plants, their petals a riot of crimson and gold. She hums a low, melodious tune, her hands moving with a practiced grace that speaks of years spent in communion with the soil. The sight is so serene, so utterly peaceful, it almost makes you forget the complexities and conflicts that also defined the Aztec Empire. Almost. The gentle lapping of the water against the chinampa edges becomes your constant companion as you continue your exploration. You notice the ingenious system of irrigation. While the chinampas were essentially in the lake, maintaining the perfect level of moisture was crucial. The narrow canals served not just as transportation routes, but also as a natural irrigation system, wicking water up into the raised beds through capillary action. It was a low-tech, high-efficiency method that required no pumps or complex machinery, just a keen understanding of hydraulics and a lot of mud. You pause to watch a man in a small, flat-bottomed boat, his strong arms rhythmically pulling a long pole through the water. He's pushing a mixture of rich sediment and decaying plant matter from the bottom of the canal towards the edge of a chinampa. This is the mud maintenance in action, the constant, essential task of enriching the soil. It's a perpetual cycle of renewal, where the very act of maintaining the canals provides the fertilizer for the fields. It's so efficient, it almost makes you wonder if they secretly had a team of very clever beavers working for them. You observe the color of the mud he's dredging. It's a deep, almost black color, indicating its rich organic content. The man scoops the mud onto the edge of the chinampa, where it will slowly dry and be incorporated into the soil. You notice that the layers of mud are built up over time, gradually raising the height of the chinampa. This constant addition of new material meant that the chinampas were not static structures, but living, growing entities. They were literally built from the ground up, one layer of fertile earth at a time. It's like building a cake, but instead of frosting, you're using nutrient-rich sludge, and it tastes much better for the plants. A mainstream historical fact is that the Aztecs also used a technique called seedbed cultivation on the chinampas. They would grow seedlings in small, highly fertile beds, and once the plants were strong enough, they would transplant them to the main chinampa fields. This allowed for more efficient use of space and resources, maximizing their yields. It's a bit like giving your plants a head start in life, a sort of green jumpstart program. You can almost feel the rhythmic motion of the dredging, a timeless act connecting you to the generations of Aztec farmers who performed the same task. The sun is now a little lower, casting long, shimmering reflections on the water. The air is still warm, but there's a refreshing coolness that hints at the approaching evening. You see a woman, her hair braided with colorful ribbons, meticulously inspecting the leaves of a corn plant. She gently brushes away a small insect, her movements precise and deliberate. It's a small detail, but it speaks volumes about the level of care and attention given to each plant. You realize that farming here wasn't just about producing food. It was about nurturing life, about a deep respect for the bounty of the earth. A quirky tidbit is that the Aztecs believed that maize or corn was a sacred plant, a gift from the gods. They even had a goddess of maize, Chichimequotl, often depicted with ears of corn in her hands. So, in a way, tending to the corn on the chinampas was also an act of religious devotion. You could say their farming was divinely inspired, which probably explains why their corn was so good. As you continue to walk, you notice the subtle variations in the types of plants being cultivated. Some chinampas are dedicated entirely to corn, their tall stalks swaying gently in the breeze. Others are a vibrant mix of squash, beans, chilies, and other vegetables. The diversity of crops not only provided a balanced diet, but also helped to maintain soil health and prevent the spread of pests and diseases. It was an early form of polyculture, a far cry from the monoculture fields that dominate much of modern agriculture. You wonder if they ever had a bad crop, and if so, how they dealt with it. This brings to mind a scholarly debate. What was the average lifespan of a chinempa? Some historians argue that they required constant maintenance and would eventually subside if neglected, while others suggest that with proper care, they could endure for centuries, continually rebuilt and renewed. It's a debate about the resilience of mud, which sounds less exciting than it actually is when you're talking about feeding an empire. You imagine generations of families tending the same plots, passing down the knowledge and the mud-stained tools. You reach a wider canal, and you see more boats moving, not just those dredging mud, but also larger canoes laden with produce heading towards the bustling marketplace in the city center. The sounds of distant chatter and the occasional call of a bird create a soothing symphony. The air, now slightly cooler, carries the faint scent of damp earth and blooming flowers. You watch as a group of children play near the water's edge, splashing and laughing, their voices echoing across the still surface. Their innocence is a stark contrast to the sophisticated engineering and intense labor that underpins their world. You realize that the chinempas were not just a means of survival. They were the very foundation of Aztec society, the lifeblood of their empire. They allowed for a dense population to thrive in an otherwise challenging environment. It's a masterclass in adapting to your surroundings, a concept that sometimes feels lost in our modern world of climate-controlled environments and instant gratification. They truly built a society on a bed of mud and ambition. The evening sky deepens to a rich indigo, and the last rays of sunlight paint the western horizon with streaks of fiery orange and soft lavender. The chinempas, once vibrant emeralds, now take on a muted, mysterious hue in the twilight. You can hear the croaking of frogs from the reeds along the canal banks, a natural chorus that serenades the fading day. The air grows cooler, and you pull your imaginary cloak a little tighter around you. The gentle breeze that was a whisper earlier is now a soft sigh, carrying the faint, sweet scent of night-blooming flowers. You observe how the Aztecs ingeniously anchored their chinempas. They didn't just pile up mud. They used a system of interwoven stakes and reeds to create a sturdy framework. These stakes, often willow trees, would sprout and grow along the edges of the chinempas, their roots further binding the soil and preventing erosion. It was a living, growing infrastructure, a testament to their foresight and understanding of natural processes. It's a bit like using very enthusiastic trees as rebar. You notice the quiet rhythm of life settling over the chinempas. The workers have mostly departed, leaving the fields to the nocturnal sounds of the lake. You might spot a lone fisherman in a small canoe, his silhouette dark against the shimmering water, casting a net for evening supper. The peace is profound, a stark contrast to the bustling activity of the day. You contemplate the sheer amount of knowledge that must have been accumulated over generations to perfect this system. It wasn't something that could have been invented overnight. It was the result of countless observations, experiments, and refinements. It was passed down from parent to child, a precious inheritance of survival and prosperity. A mainstream historical fact is that the Aztecs, despite their sophisticated agricultural practices, did not use plows or draft animals. All the work was done by hand, using simple tools like the koa, a digging stick, or the uicle, a foot plow. This makes their agricultural output even more astonishing. Imagine tilling hectares of land with just a stick and your own 2 feet. Your back probably aches just thinking about it. The light from distant cooking fires now twinkles like fallen stars across the water, illuminating patches of the Chinampas in soft, shifting glows. You hear the distant sound of drums, a low, resonant beat that speaks of ceremonies or celebrations in the heart of Tenochtitlan. It's a reminder that this agricultural marvel was not an isolated entity, but intricately woven into the fabric of a complex and vibrant civilization. You can almost feel the pulse of the city, even from this tranquil distance. A quirky tidbit: the Aztecs sometimes grew flowers on their Chinampas not just for aesthetic reasons but also for religious ceremonies and offerings. Certain flowers, like the cempasúchil or marigold, were considered sacred and used in rituals honoring the gods. So, their gardens weren't just about sustenance. They were also about spirituality, a touch of beauty amidst the practicality. It's like having a veggie patch that also doubles as a sacred altar. You find a comfortable spot on the edge of a Chinampa near the water and sit down. The air is surprisingly fresh, carrying the clean scent of water and growing things. You watch the stars begin to emerge in the inky sky, pinpricks of light against the velvet canvas. The silence, broken only by the sounds of nature, is incredibly calming. You think about the enduring legacy of the Chinampas. Even today, in some parts of Xochimilco, a borough of Mexico City, Chinampas are still in use, a living testament to the ingenuity of the Aztec people. It's a connection to a past that refuses to be entirely forgotten, a whispered secret carried on the water. This permanence, or lack thereof, is part of a scholarly debate. To what extent did the Spanish conquest affect the Chinampa system? Some argue that the arrival of the Spanish led to the rapid decline of the Chinampas due to new land use practices and the introduction of different crops. Others contend that the Chinampas persisted for centuries, gradually diminishing but never entirely disappearing. It's a historical whodunit, with the culprit being either conquistadors or just really bad mud management. You close your eyes for a moment, letting the gentle sounds and scents wash over you. You can almost feel the earth breathing beneath you, a vast, living organism pulsing with life. The image of the Chinampas, those verdant islands of abundance, is now firmly etched in your mind. It's a powerful reminder of humanity's capacity for innovation, for adapting to challenges, and for creating beauty and sustenance even in the most unlikely of places. The moon begins to rise, a slender crescent hanging like a silver sliver in the dark sky, casting a soft, ethereal glow on the water. The whole scene feels like a dream, a gentle lullaby whispered by the ancient world. You are a silent observer in this timeless garden, a witness to the enduring power of earth and water. The night is deepening, and the world of the Aztecs is slowly fading into the realm of dreams. The cool night air gently caresses your skin as the moon ascends higher, its light now painting the Chinampas in shades of silver and deep shadow. The gentle rustle of leaves and the distant murmur of water are the only sounds now, a peaceful symphony of the night. You reflect on the sheer physical effort involved in building and maintaining these artificial islands. Imagine millions of baskets of mud, reeds, and organic matter, all painstakingly transported and layered by hand. There were no bulldozers, no hydraulic cranes, just human muscle, ingenuity, and an unwavering commitment to feeding a burgeoning population. It truly puts your morning commute into perspective. You're grateful you don't have to ferry mud to work. This massive undertaking speaks to an extraordinary level of societal organism, and cooperation. It wasn't just individual families toiling. It was a collective effort, a community working together for the common good. You notice the incredibly rich biodiversity that thrives around the Chinampas, even in the dead of night. The croaking frogs are joined by the chirping of crickets, and you might even catch the soft hoot of an owl from a distant tree. The water itself is teeming with life. The canals, with their constant dredging and renewal, provided ideal habitats for fish, aquatic plants, and various insects. This wasn't just an agricultural system. It was a complex ecosystem, a testament to the Aztecs' holistic approach to their environment. A mainstream historical fact is that the Chinampas were so productive that they could yield up to 7 harvests a year, providing a constant supply of food for the millions living in and around Tenochtitlan. This incredible output was a key factor in the Aztec Empire's ability to support such a large and complex society. Imagine going to the supermarket and finding everything perpetually in season. It's enough to make a modern farmer weep. You recall the ingenious way the Aztecs managed the water levels around their Chinampas. They built a series of dikes and sluice gates to control the flow of water into and out of Lake Texcoco. This allowed them to regulate the salinity of the water and protect the Chinampas from floods during the rainy season. It was a sophisticated hydrological engineering system, especially considering they didn't have advanced scientific instruments or computer models. They were truly masters of their watery domain. A quirky tidbit: the Aztecs didn't just grow food on their Chinampas. They also cultivated medicinal plants and flowers, as mentioned before, for their rituals and for decorative purposes. Imagine a floating pharmacy and flower shop, all rolled into one verdant island. It's a multi-purpose land use that puts most modern city planning to shame. Your local park probably doesn't grow enough kale for a healthy smoothie. As the moon climbs higher, its light illuminates the surface of the canals, making the water almost luminous. You can discern the shadowy shapes of small boats moored along the banks, waiting for the first light of dawn to resume their work. The air is still and cool, carrying the faint, earthy scent of damp soil and the fresh aroma of water. This tranquil scene makes you ponder a scholarly debate. What was the true extent of the Aztec Empire's reliance on Chinampa agriculture? While undoubtedly crucial, some historians argue that other forms of agriculture, such as terracing and rain-fed farming on the mainland, also played significant roles in feeding the population. It's a debate about putting all your eggs in one basket, or rather, all your corn in one Chinampa. The exact balance of these agricultural methods continues to be a subject of academic discussion, like debating whether a taco is better with or without extra salsa. You close your eyes and imagine the sounds of dawn on the Chinampas, the chirping of birds, the gentle splashing of paddles, the distant calls of vendors beginning their day. You can almost feel the warmth of the rising sun on your face, the promise of a new day bringing renewed activity to these fertile islands. The vision of Tenochtitlan, a city born from water and sustained by mud, is a powerful one. It reminds you that ingenuity can blossom in the most unexpected places, transforming challenges into opportunities. The resilience of the Aztec people, their ability to thrive in a challenging environment through sheer will and cleverness, is truly inspiring. As the night deepens, you find yourself drifting into a peaceful state, the echoes of this ancient world lulling you into a calm, restful sleep. The Chinampas, a testament to human innovation, continue their silent vigil under the watchful eye of the moon. The world around you is now enveloped in the soft, hushed embrace of deep night. The moon, a silent sentinel, casts an ethereal glow over the sleeping Chinampas, making the water glimmer like polished obsidian. You can still hear the gentle lapping of the lake against the banks, a timeless lullaby. The air is cool and still, carrying the faint, earthy scent of damp soil and decaying vegetation, the very essence of fertility. You envision the daily routines that would have taken place on these floating gardens. As the sun kissed the horizon, families would emerge from their modest dwellings, ready to coax life from the rich earth. Children, even the youngest, would have had their roles, perhaps helping to carry water or shooing away birds, learning the rhythms of agriculture from an early age. It was a life intricately tied to the cycles of nature, a stark contrast to your digitally saturated mornings. They didn't have alarm clocks, they had roosters and the sunrise. You picture the tools they would have used, simple yet incredibly effective. The koa, a D, igging stick for breaking up soil and planting seeds, baskets woven from reeds for transporting mud, seeds, and harvest. Their hands, calloused and strong, were their primary instruments. You realize the profound connection these people had with their food, a connection largely lost in your modern world of prepackaged meals and distant grocery stores. They knew every clod of earth, every budding sprout, every nuance of the seasons. It was a relationship built on intimacy and respect. A mainstream historical fact is that the Aztecs developed sophisticated crop rotation techniques on their chinampas, planting different crops in succession to maintain soil fertility and prevent nutrient depletion. This advanced understanding of agronomy allowed them to sustain their intensive farming practices for extended periods. They were basically organic farmers before organic was even a thing. You imagine the subtle changes in the landscape throughout the year. In the dry season, the chinampas would be a patchwork of maturing crops, their vibrant greens and yellows basking under the warm sun. During the rainy season, the canals would swell, and the entire system would feel even more integrated with the surrounding lake. It was a dynamic landscape, constantly shifting and evolving with the whims of nature. A quirky tidbit: the Aztecs sometimes built small, elevated platforms or watchtowers on their chinampas to protect their crops from birds and other animals. These platforms also provided a good vantage point for overseeing the vast expanse of their fields. Imagine a tiny, straw-roofed treehouse in the middle of your vegetable patch. It sounds quite cozy, actually, if you don't mind the occasional rodent visitor. The image of a farmer carefully selecting seeds for the next planting comes to mind. It wasn't a haphazard process. They would have chosen the best, strongest seeds from the previous harvest, ensuring the continuation of healthy, productive crops. This careful selection contributed to the genetic diversity and resilience of their plant varieties. This leads you to a scholarly debate. Were the Aztecs truly self-sufficient in terms of food production from the chinampas alone? Some historians argue that while the chinampas were incredibly productive, the sheer size of Tenochtitlan's population likely necessitated supplementary food sources from tributary states or other agricultural methods. It's a complex question, like trying to figure out if your teenager actually eats all the food in the fridge, or if some of it magically disappears into the ether. The debate continues, with scholars sifting through ancient texts and archaeological evidence for answers. As the quietude of the night deepens, you feel a profound sense of peace. The chinampas, those enduring symbols of human ingenuity and harmony with nature, seem to whisper ancient secrets on the gentle breeze. You envision the ripple effects of this agricultural system, not just on the Aztec people, but on the very landscape of the Valley of Mexico. It transformed a shallow lake into a vibrant, food-producing heartland, a testament to what is possible when human creativity is aligned with ecological understanding. You can almost feel the gentle pulse of the earth beneath you, a living testament to the cycles of growth and renewal. The air is still, the water is calm, and the chinampas lie in peaceful slumber, waiting for the first kiss of dawn to awaken their vibrant life once more. You drift further into sleep, the soft hum of the ancient world your gentle guide. The moon has now begun its slow descent, casting longer, more artistic shadows across the chinampas. The stars overhead are incredibly bright, unmarred by city lights, a celestial canopy mirroring the intricate network of waterways below. You continue to be impressed by the sheer scale of the chinampa system. It wasn't just a few isolated gardens. It was an extensive, interconnected web of fertile plots that literally formed the foundation of one of the greatest pre-Columbian empires. Imagine coordinating the construction and maintenance of thousands upon thousands of these plots, each requiring continuous care. It's like managing the world's largest, most intricate jigsaw puzzle, where all the pieces are made of mud and constantly trying to grow things. The logistical challenge alone is mind-boggling. You reflect on the social structure that allowed for such a monumental undertaking. The Aztec society was highly stratified, with a complex hierarchy that included rulers, nobles, priests, warriors, merchants, artisans, and, of course, farmers. The Calpuli, or kinship groups, played a crucial role in the ownership and management of the chinampas. Each Calpuli was responsible for cultivating its own plots, but there was also a sense of communal responsibility for the overall health and productivity of the system. It was a delicate balance between individual effort and collective benefit. A mainstream historical fact is that tribute played a significant role in the Aztec Empire's economy. Conquered peoples were often required to pay tribute in the form of goods, including agricultural produce, which further supplemented the food supply from the chinampas. So, while the chinampas were the backbone, the empire also had a highly efficient import system, making sure nobody went hungry, unless, of course, they were on the losing end of a battle. The cool air of pre-dawn carries the faint, earthy scent of damp soil and the fresh aroma of water. You can almost hear the soft rustle of invisible creatures moving through the reeds along the canals. The silence is profound, broken only by the natural sounds of the sleeping lake. You imagine the early morning mist rising from the water, shrouding the chinampas in a mystical veil before the sun burns it away. A quirky tidbit: the Aztecs sometimes used small, edible fish that lived in the canals as an additional food source. These fish would also help to control insect populations and contribute to the overall health of the aquatic ecosystem. So, the canals were not just for irrigation and transport. They were also a living larder. It's like having a fridge that restocks itself with tiny, wriggly snacks. You consider the sophisticated understanding of botany and hydrology that the Aztecs possessed. They knew which crops thrived in which conditions, how to manage water flow, and how to enrich the soil naturally. This wasn't simply trial and error. It was a deeply ingrained body of knowledge passed down through generations, refined and perfected over centuries. This leads you to a scholarly debate. To what extent did climate change, prior to the arrival of the Spanish, impact the chinampa system? Some historians suggest that periods of drought or increased rainfall might have put stress on the system, requiring constant adaptation and innovation. Others argue that the chinampas were remarkably resilient to climatic fluctuations due to their adaptable design. It's a bit like trying to predict tomorrow's weather based on a 1,000-year-old weather report, but with slightly more academic jargon. As the sky in the east begins to lighten, a faint hint of rose and gold appearing on the horizon, you feel a sense of anticipation. The Chinempas, bathed in the soft glow of the approaching dawn, seem to awaken, their vibrant greens slowly regaining their intensity. The first birds begin to chirp, a tentative prelude to the full chorus of the morning. You reflect on the incredible legacy of the Aztec floating gardens. They stand as a powerful reminder that sustainable agriculture and thriving urban centers are not mutually exclusive. They demonstrate that humans can live in harmony with their environment, leveraging natural processes to create abundance. As the first light of day touches the tranquil surface of the lake, you feel a quiet inspiration, a gentle nudge towards a more thoughtful existence. The ancient world whispers its wisdom, lulling you into a peaceful, dreaming state, ready for the new day or perhaps just a little more sleep. The first blush of dawn is now painting the eastern sky, transforming the dark silhouettes of the distant volcanoes into majestic peaks crowned with rose and gold. The air is crisp and cool, carrying the fresh scent of damp earth and blooming water lilies. The Chinempas, slowly emerging from the night's embrace, appear as a vast, verdant quilt spread across the shimmering lake. You hear the first tentative calls of birds, a gentle awakening of the natural world. Soon, the familiar sounds of human activity will begin, breaking the spell of the serene night. You imagine the meticulous planning that went into the layout of these Chinempas. They weren't just haphazard plots. They were designed with precision, oriented to maximize sun exposure and facilitate easy navigation of the canals. It was an exercise in agricultural urban planning, a masterclass in efficiency and productivity. You can almost feel the chill of the morning mist rising from the water, swirling gently above the low-lying crops. The water itself seems to shimmer with an inner light, reflecting the nascent hues of the sky. You picture the early risers on the Chinempas, perhaps a farmer checking his irrigation channels, or a woman gathering herbs for the day's meal. Their movements would be quiet, respectful of the sleeping world around them. A mainstream historical fact is that the Aztecs considered Lake Texcoco, despite its challenges of salinity and fluctuating levels, a sacred body of water. They viewed their ability to transform it into fertile land as a testament to their divine favor and engineering prowess. It wasn't just a resource. It was a living entity that demanded reverence and careful stewardship. You could say they were really good at getting along with their watery neighbors. You notice the variety of plant life growing along the edges of the Chinempas. And in the canals, reeds and rushes provide not just stability for the artificial islands, but also habitats for various aquatic creatures. Water lilies, their broad leaves floating serenely on the surface, add touches of delicate beauty. It's a testament to the Aztecs' understanding of ecological balance, recognizing that a healthy ecosystem supported their agricultural endeavors. A quirky tidbit: the Aztecs sometimes constructed small, decorative shrines on their Chinempas, dedicated to agricultural deities. These miniature temples would often contain offerings to ensure a bountiful harvest. So, alongside their practical farming, there was a deeply spiritual dimension to their relationship with the land. It's like having a garden gnome, but with much more significant religious implications. As the sun begins to peek over the horizon, its golden rays spread across the lake, making the water glitter with 1,000 points of light. The Chinempas, now fully illuminated, reveal their rich tapestry of greens, from the deep emerald of maturing corn to the brighter hues of squash and bean plants. You feel the warmth of the sun on your face, a welcome sensation after the cool night. This prompts you to consider a scholarly debate. To what extent did the Aztec Empire's military expansion rely on the agricultural surplus provided by the Chinampas? Some historians argue that the ability to feed a large army year-round was crucial for their conquests, while others suggest that their military prowess was also due to other factors, such as their formidable warrior culture and strategic alliances. It's a classic chicken and egg question. Did the Chinampas feed the empire, or did the empire allow the Chinampas to flourish? The arguments continue, as dense and complex as the layers of mud in a well-maintained Chinampa. You take a deep, cleansing breath, filling your lungs with the fresh, clean air. The scent of damp earth and growing things is invigorating, a reminder of the raw power and beauty of nature. The image of the Chinampas, teeming with life and sustained by generations of careful cultivation, fills your mind with a sense of wonder. It's a powerful testament to human ingenuity and the enduring connection between people and the land they inhabit. As the world awakens around you, you feel a gentle stirring within yourself, a sense of quiet renewal. The ancient wisdom of the Aztecs, whispered on the morning breeze, lulls you deeper into a peaceful state, a calm assurance that even in the midst of life's complexities, there is always the simple beauty of growth and renewal. You are drifting, gently, on the currents of time and peace. The sun is now fully above the horizon, casting a warm, golden light across the entire valley. The Chinampas gleam under its benevolent gaze, their verdant surfaces a vibrant contrast to the shimmering blue of the lake. The air hums with the gentle buzz of insects, and the calls of distant waterfowl drift across the water. You begin to hear the first distinct sounds of human activity, the rhythmic thud of a woman pounding maize, the distant chatter of voices, the splash of a paddle as a canoe glides silently through a canal. The world of the Chinampas is truly waking up. You reflect on the sheer architectural challenge of maintaining the structural integrity of these artificial islands. The constant pressure of the water, the shifting of the lake bed, and the need to prevent erosion must have required ongoing vigilance and expertise. It's like building a sandcastle that has to withstand a permanent tide. But instead of sand, it's mud. And instead of a bucket, it's a lot of very strong backs. You observe the narrowness of the canals between the Chinampas. They are just wide enough for a small canoe to pass through, allowing for efficient transportation of goods and people. This intricate network of waterways was the circulatory system of the Chinampa world, carrying lifeblood to every plot. It was a perfectly designed infrastructure, optimized for maximum accessibility and minimal wasted space. A mainstream historical fact is that the Aztecs also constructed causeways, essentially wide roads built across the lake, connecting Tenochtitlan to the mainland. These causeways were crucial for trade, communication, and military movements, demonstrating their mastery of both water-based and land-based infrastructure. So, they weren't just good at building floating gardens. They were also excellent road builders, proving that good transport links are always in style, even in the 15th century. The sun's warmth on your skin is comforting, a gentle reminder of the life-giving energy that nourishes the plants around you. You notice the dew still clinging to some of the leaves, glistening like tiny jewels in the morning light. The scent of blooming flowers, perhaps morning glories or the ever-present marigolds, is now more distinct, adding a sweet note to the earthy aroma of the soil. A quirky tid. The Aztecs sometimes cultivated a specific type of algae called spirulina in the canals, and harvested it as a high-protein food source. This lake bread was a valuable dietary supplement, especially during times of scarcity. Imagine harvesting your superfood supplement directly from your irrigation ditch. It's truly farm to table in the most literal sense. As you continue to observe, you consider the incredible efficiency of this agricultural system. The Chinampas provided a continuous supply of fresh produce, significantly reducing the need for long-distance transport and storage. This localized food system minimized waste and ensured that the population had access to fresh, nutritious food year-round. This brings to mind a scholarly debate. What was the true environmental impact of the Chinampa system on Lake Texcoco? While undoubtedly productive, some historians argue that the intensive cultivation and dredging activities might have contributed to sedimentation and changes in the lake's ecosystem over the long term. Others contend that the system was largely sustainable and helped to maintain the ecological balance of the lake. It's a bit like debating whether your garden hose is good for the environment or just contributing to your water bill. The long-term effects are always harder to quantify. You close your eyes for a moment, letting the gentle sounds and warmth of the morning wash over you. The image of the Chinampas, vibrant and alive, fills your mind. It's a powerful testament to the ingenuity of a people who transformed their environment to create a thriving civilization. The soft murmur of the lake, the gentle rustle of leaves, and the distant sounds of human activity combine to create a soothing backdrop for your journey into the realm of sleep. You feel a profound sense of peace settling over you, as if the wisdom of the ancient world is whispering a lullaby. The sun climbs higher, illuminating a world of incredible innovation and enduring beauty, a vision that gently guides you towards a deeper, more peaceful slumber. The sun is now well into its morning ascent, casting a bright, clear light across the entire expanse of the Chinampas. The greens are even more vivid now, almost glowing in the sunlight, and the water in the canal sparkles like polished glass. You can hear the increasing sounds of activity, the gentle splash of paddles, the murmur of conversations, the clinking of tools. Life on the Chinampas is in full swing. You notice the meticulous way in which the Aztec farmers would plant their seeds. They often used a dibble stick, a pointed tool, to make small holes in the soil, into which they would drop a few seeds. This precise method ensured optimal spacing and depth for each plant, maximizing germination rates and yields. It was a highly skilled process, requiring patience and a deep understanding of plant needs. You observe the sheer variety of crops being cultivated. Beyond the staple corn, beans, and squash, you see chili peppers, amaranth, tomatoes, various herbs, and even some flowering plants used for dyes or medicinal purposes. This agricultural diversity was key to their food security, ensuring that even if one crop failed, others would still provide sustenance. It's like having a highly diversified investment portfolio, but instead of stocks, it's vegetables. A mainstream historical fact is that the Aztecs supplemented their diet with protein from various sources, including fish from the lake, waterfowl, and even insects like grasshoppers and ant larvae. So, while the Chinampas provided the carbohydrates and vegetables, the surrounding ecosystem contributed a rich array of protein. They certainly weren't picky eaters when it came to sustainability. The air now carries a delightful medley of scents: the fresh, earthy aroma of damp soil, the sweet fragrance of blooming flowers, and the faint, savory hint of cooking from nearby dwellings. You can almost taste the richness of the soil, the life it sustains. You watch a group of women working together, their movements synchronized as they meticulously weed a plot of corn. Their chatter is light and easy, a testament to the communal spirit that permeated Chinampa life. A quirky tidbit: the Aztecs sometimes used human waste, or night soil, as a valuable fertilizer for their Chinampas. While it might sound unappealing to modern sensibilities, it was a highly effective and sustainable way to recycle nutrients back into the soil, creating a truly closed-loop system. They were quite literally putting their waste to work, which is certainly one way to get your compost to work for you. As you continue to observe the tireless activity, you realize that the Chinampas were not just about food production. They were also about community building. The shared labor, the reliance on each other, and the collective celebration of successful harvests would have fostered strong bonds among the families who lived and worked on these. Floating gardens. This leads you to a scholarly debate. To what extent did the Chinampa system contribute to the social cohesion of the Aztec Empire? Some historians argue that the communal effort required to maintain the Chinampas strengthened social ties and fostered a sense of shared identity. Others contend that the system, while providing food, also created social hierarchies based on access to land and resources. It's a bit like arguing whether shared chores bring a family closer together, or just lead to more arguments about who left the dishes in the sink. The truth, as always, is probably somewhere in the muddy middle. The sun continues its slow climb, and the day begins to warm. The sounds of activity on the Chinampas grow louder, a vibrant symphony of human endeavor and natural processes. You feel a deep connection to this ancient world, a sense of awe at the ingenuity and resilience of the Aztec people. The vision of their floating gardens, a masterpiece of sustainable agriculture, is now firmly imprinted on your mind. You begin to feel a gentle weariness settling over you, a comfortable fatigue that comes from witnessing such profound effort and success. The rhythmic sounds of the Chinampas, the distant hum of the city, and the gentle lapping of the water combine to create a soothing lullaby, gently guiding you deeper into a peaceful and restorative sleep. The Aztec gardens continue their silent work, tending to your dreams. The morning light is now fully established, illuminating every detail of the Chinampas with crisp clarity. The shadows are short, signaling the sun's steady climb towards its zenith. You can almost feel the energy pulsing from these fertile islands, a tangible vibrancy born of countless hours of labor and the incredible bounty of the earth. You observe the ingenious use of crop rotation, a practice that ensured the long-term health and productivity of the soil. Instead of planting the same crop repeatedly, which would deplete specific nutrients, the Aztecs would rotate different plant families, allowing the soil to recover and replenish itself naturally. It was a sophisticated understanding of soil science, centuries before modern agricultural textbooks. You notice the network of small, elevated paths that crisscross the Chinampas, allowing farmers to move easily between plots without disturbing the delicate crops. These pathways were often lined with stones or reeds, providing stability and preventing erosion. It was a carefully designed system that maximized efficiency and minimized environmental impact. A mainstream historical fact is that the Chinampas were not only productive, but also aesthetically beautiful. The Aztecs took pride in the appearance of their floating gardens, often planting flowers and decorative plants along the edges of their plots, adding vibrant splashes of color to the verdant landscape. Imagine your local vegetable patch being considered a work of art. The air is now warmer, carrying the sweet scent of blooming flowers and the earthy aroma of freshly turned soil. You hear the cheerful chatter of children playing near the water, their laughter echoing across the canals. The sounds of daily life on the Chinempas are a comforting symphony, a testament to the thriving community that calls this unique place home. A quirky tidbit: the Aztecs sometimes built small, temporary shelters on their Chinempas during planting or harvesting seasons, allowing them to stay close to their fields and maximize their working hours. These shelters, often made of reeds and thatch, provided shade from the sun and a place to rest. It was like having a very rustic but highly functional field office. As you absorb the vibrant scene around you, you consider the incredible resilience of this agricultural system. Despite periodic floods, droughts, and the challenges of managing a complex aquatic environment, the Chinempas continued to feed a vast population for centuries. It stands as a testament to the adaptive capacity of human societies and their ability to innovate in the face of environmental constraints. This leads you to a scholarly debate. What role did religious beliefs and practices play in the success and maintenance of the Chinempa system? Some historians argue that the Aztecs' reverence for nature and their agricultural deities motivated their meticulous care of the land and ensured communal cooperation. Others suggest that practical considerations and economic necessity were the primary drivers. It's a bit like trying to figure out if your good habits are driven by discipline or by a sudden craving for kale. The interplay between spirituality and pragmatism in ancient societies is always a fascinating puzzle. You feel a comfortable warmth spreading through you, a sense of quiet contentment as you witness the timeless dance of life on the Chinempas. The rhythmic sounds of work, the gentle lapping of water, and the vibrant colors of the growing plants combine to create a deeply soothing atmosphere. The sun continues its journey across the sky, and you find yourself drifting further into a state of deep relaxation, the echoes of this ancient world lulling you into a peaceful and restorative sleep. The floating gardens, bathed in golden light, continue their silent work, cultivating dreams and promising bounty. The sun is now high in the sky, directly overhead, casting minimal shadows and illuminating the Chinempas with an almost blinding intensity. The air shimmers with the heat, and the vibrant greens of the crops seem to pulse with life under the direct sunlight. You can almost feel the plants growing, drawing sustenance from the rich, dark soil. You continue to be fascinated by the intricate network of canals that dissect the Chinempas. They are more than just waterways. They are living arteries, teeming with microscopic life, and providing a continuous source of nutrients for the fields. You even see small fish darting beneath the surface, tiny guardians of this aquatic ecosystem. You observe the deliberate speed and precision with which the farmers work. There's no frantic rush, but rather a steady, almost meditative pace. Each movement is economical, honed by generations of experience. They know precisely where to place a seed, how deep to dig a channel, and when to harvest a crop for optimal yield. It's a dance between human intention and natural processes, a partnership rather than a struggle. A mainstream historical fact is that the Aztecs also developed advanced terracing techniques on the hillsides surrounding Lake Texcoco to prevent erosion and expand their agricultural land. While the Chinempas were their most famous innovation, their overall agricultural strategy was multifaceted and highly adaptable to different terrains. They truly understood the meaning of every little bit helps, especially when feeding an empire. The midday heat hangs in the air, a thick, comforting blanket. The only sounds are the distant hum of insects, the occasional splash of a fish, and the gentle rustle of leaves in the very faint breeze. The scent of damp earth is stronger now, warmed by the sun, mingled with the sweet aroma of ripening fruit. You notice the birds circling overhead, watchful but not disruptive, a natural part of the delicate ecological balance. A quirky tidbit: the Aztecs used a form of natural pest control on their chinampas, encouraging beneficial insects and birds to prey on harmful ones. They also rotated crops to break pest cycles and used companion planting, where different plants are grown together to benefit each other. It was integrated pest management centuries before it became a scientific discipline. They were truly ahead of their time and probably didn't need to read any lengthy instruction manuals. As you bask in the tranquil warmth of the midday sun, you consider the incredible labor organization required to sustain such a massive agricultural system. It wasn't just individual families working their plots. There were communal workforces, often organized by the Calpuli, dedicated to major projects like dredging canals or building new chinampas. It was a highly cooperative and efficient system, driven by necessity and a shared sense of purpose. This leads you to a scholarly debate. To what extent did the Aztec Empire's political stability depend on the success of the chinampa system? Some historians argue that the consistent food supply from the chinampas was crucial for preventing widespread unrest and maintaining social order. Others suggest that political control was primarily maintained through military power and religious ideology. It's like debating whether your good mood is due to a hearty breakfast or just the fact that you haven't checked your emails yet. Both likely play a role, but the exact weighting is always up for discussion. You feel a profound sense of calm settling over you, the rhythmic pulse of the ancient world acting as a gentle sedative. The chinampas, shimmering under the high sun, embody a timeless wisdom about living in harmony with nature and creating abundance from seemingly challenging environments. The warmth of the sun, the gentle sounds of life, and the quiet dignity of human labor combine to create a deeply soothing experience. You feel yourself drifting further into a state of peaceful slumber, the vibrant image of the floating gardens now a comforting presence in your dreams. The midday sun shines down, nurturing both the ancient crops and your restful sleep. The sun begins its slow descent from its midday peak, casting a softer, more diffuse light across the chinampas. The intense green begins to deepen, and the shadows lengthen subtly, adding depth and dimension to the landscape. The air, though still warm, holds a hint of the approaching afternoon coolness. You can hear the steady rhythm of work continuing, perhaps a group of farmers carefully weeding a plot, their movements efficient and unhurried. The enduring productivity of these floating gardens is a testament to the constant, diligent maintenance required. It's not a set-it-and-forget-it kind of farming. It's a living, breathing commitment. You notice the small, intricate details of the chinampas, the way the willow trees, planted along the edges, send their roots deep into the mud, binding the soil and preventing erosion. These trees weren't just decorative. They were an integral part of the engineering, living anchors holding the islands together. It's an organic construction method, far more sustainable than concrete and steel. A mainstream historical fact is that the chinampas were so fertile because of the constant renewal of nutrients from the lake bed mud and the rich organic matter from decaying plants. This natural fertilization system meant that the Aztecs did not need to rely on external fertilizers, making their agriculture remarkably self-sustaining. Imagine never having to buy plant food again, just scooping it out of your pond. The air carries a richer, earthier scent now, as the sun's warmth has drawn out the aromas from the damp soil and thriving vegetation. You might catch the subtle fragrance of ripening squash or the robust scent of corn. The sounds of birds are more prominent as they forage among the fields, a harmonious part of the ecosystem. A quirky tidbit: the Aztecs developed a sophisticated system for predicting weather patterns based on astronomical observations and the behavior of animals. This allowed them to plan their planting and harvesting schedules effectively, minimizing the risks associated with unpredictable weather. They were essentially ancient meteorologists, but with more feathers and less advanced radar. As you observe the tranquil activity, you consider the long-term sustainability of the Chinampa system. It was designed to endure, not just for a season, but for generations. The continuous recycling of nutrients, the natural erosion control provided by the trees, and the careful management of water levels all contributed to its remarkable longevity. This brings to mind a scholarly debate. To what extent did the Chinampa system contribute to the Aztec Empire's population growth and urbanization? Some historians argue that the immense food surplus allowed Tenochtitlan to become one of the largest and most densely populated cities in the world at the time. Others contend that population growth was also influenced by other factors, such as migration and military expansion, and that the Chinampas simply adapted to accommodate the growing numbers. It's a bit like wondering if your pizza habit is making you gain weight, or if you're just gaining weight because you like pizza. The cause and effect can be delightfully intertwined. You feel a gentle wave of relaxation washing over you, a calm embrace as the day begins to mellow. The Chinampas, a testament to enduring wisdom, continue their silent work, nurturing life and holding centuries of stories within their fertile soil. The rhythmic sounds of the afternoon, the soft rustle of leaves, and the gentle lapping of water combine to create a deeply soothing environment. You find yourself drifting deeper into a state of peaceful repose, the vibrant image of the floating gardens now a comforting presence in your subconscious. The afternoon sun shines softly, illuminating a world of remarkable harmony and gently lulling you towards a serene and restorative sleep. The afternoon sun continues its graceful arc, now casting long, soft shadows across the Chinampas, making the rows of crops appear even more defined. The air is still warm, but a subtle, refreshing breeze begins to stir, carrying the gentle scent of the lake water and the lush vegetation. You notice the careful attention to detail in the layout of each Chinampa. The precise rows, the clear channels, and the neatly maintained edges all speak to a deep respect for the land and a commitment to maximizing productivity. It's a level of agricultural artistry that you rarely see in your modern, large-scale farming operations. You envision the intricate process of creating a new Chinampa. It wasn't a quick undertaking. First, a rectangular area of the shallow lake bed would be marked out. Then, layers of reeds, aquatic plants, and mud from the lake bottom would be painstakingly piled up, alternating layers to build a strong, fertile foundation. Finally, willow trees would be planted along the edges, their roots securing the structure. It was a labor-intensive but incredibly effective method of land reclamation. A mainstream historical fact is that the construction of new Chinampas was often a communal effort, with entire communities coming together to contribute their labor and expertise. This collective spirit was a hallmark of Aztec society and crucial for the expansion and maintenance of their agricultural infrastructure. It was truly a case of many hands making light work, especially when that work involved moving tons of mud. The sun's descent is now more noticeable, its light taking on a richer, more golden hue. The distant sounds of the city are a little fainter, replaced by the closer, more intimate sounds of the chinampas. The gentle rustle of leaves, the distant call of a bird, the soft murmur of water. You can almost feel the earth breathing, exhaling the warmth of the day. A quirky tidbit. The Aztecs sometimes built small, floating reed mats that they would use as temporary nurseries for delicate seedlings before transplanting them to the main chinampa beds. This allowed them to protect the young plants from harsh weather or pests until they were strong enough to thrive in the open fields. It was like a mobile baby buggy for plants. As you continue to observe the tranquil scene, you consider the long-term impact of the chinampa system on the environment of Lake Texcoco. While it transformed the lake, it did so in a way that supported a massive human population without entirely depleting the natural resources. It was a remarkable example of ecological engineering, a balance between human needs and environmental sustainability. This brings to mind a scholarly debate. What was the role of the Aztec emperor and the ruling elite in overseeing and managing the chinampa system? Some historians argue that the central government played a significant role in organizing large-scale construction projects and regulating water distribution. Others contend that much of the day-to-day management was left to local communities and kinship groups. It's a bit like debating whether your boss is truly in charge of your project or if you're just doing all the work anyway. The lines of authority in ancient societies can be delightfully blurry. You feel a deeper sense of peace now, a comfortable stillness settling over you as the day gently fades. The chinampas, those resilient islands of green, continue to whisper their ancient secrets on the evening breeze. The rhythmic sounds of the world winding down, the soft lapping of the water, and the fading light combine to create a deeply soothing atmosphere. You find yourself drifting further into a state of profound relaxation, the image of the floating gardens now a comforting anchor in your subconscious. The gentle colors of twilight paint the sky, and you succumb to a peaceful, restorative sleep, cradled by the wisdom of the ancient world. The sun is now sinking noticeably lower, painting the western sky with dramatic strokes of orange, pink, and deep purple. The light on the chinampas is softer, more ethereal, transforming the vibrant greens into deeper, more muted tones. The air is growing cooler, and the evening chorus of crickets and frogs is beginning to swell. You notice the increasing quietude on the chinampas as the day's work winds down. Farmers gather their tools, families retreat to their dwellings, and the sounds of human activity slowly give way to the symphony of nature. It's a transition from industriousness to peaceful repose, a daily rhythm that has played out on these islands for centuries. You reflect on the resilience of the chinampa system in the face of natural challenges. Lake Texcoco was a highly dynamic environment, prone to both floods and droughts. Yet, the Aztecs developed ingenious methods to mitigate these risks, from their system of dikes and sluice gates to their sophisticated understanding of water management. It was a constant dance with nature, a testament to their adaptability and resourcefulness. A mainstream historical fact is that the Aztecs built massive dikes, such as the Nezahualcóyotl dike, which was over 16 kilometers long, to separate the freshwater sections of the lake from the saline parts. This allowed them to protect their chinampas from salinization and ensure a stable supply of fresh water for irrigation. Imagine building a wall that long just to keep your garden happy. The air is now distinctly cooler, carrying the damp, earthy scent of the lake and the faint, sweet aroma of night-blooming flowers. You can almost feel the gentle shift in temperature as the warmth of the sun fades. The surface of the canals is still, reflecting the deepening colors of the sky like a mirror. A quirky tidbit. The Aztecs cultivated a wide variety of aquatic plants in the canals surrounding their chinampas, not just for aesthetic reasons but also for their practical uses, such as building materials, basket weaving, and even as food for fish. The entire ecosystem was utilized, a true example of zero waste before the concept even existed. They really were resourceful, turning reeds into everything from baskets to building blocks. As the last vestiges of daylight fade, you consider the enduring legacy of the Chinampa system. It stands as a powerful symbol of sustainable agriculture and ingenious engineering, a reminder that complex societies can thrive in harmony with their environment. The lessons learned from the Aztecs' relationship with their floating gardens still resonate today, offering insights into sustainable food production and ecological stewardship. This brings to mind a scholarly debate. To what extent did the Aztec Empire's emphasis on agricultural production influence their religious beliefs and worldview? Some historians argue that their dependence on the land and the cycles of nature led to a rich pantheon of agricultural deities and rituals centered around fertility and harvest. Others contend that their religious beliefs were more broadly focused on cosmology and warfare, with agriculture being just one facet. It's like debating whether your love for food makes you appreciate chefs more, or if you just really like eating. The relationship between sustenance and spirituality is often intertwined, but the emphasis can shift depending on your perspective. You feel a profound sense of tranquility settling over you, a gentle release as the day fully gives way to night. The Chinampas, now shrouded in the soft embrace of twilight, continue their silent vigil, holding the promise of new life within their fertile depths. The rhythmic sounds of the evening, the soft chirping of insects, and the distant calls of night birds combine to create a deeply soothing atmosphere. You find yourself drifting deeper into a state of peaceful slumber, the image of the floating gardens a comforting presence as you journey into the realm of dreams. The stars begin to emerge, tiny pinpricks of light in the deepening blue, watching over your peaceful rest. The night sky is now a vast, inky canvas, studded with a dazzling array of stars that seem to glitter with an almost impossible brilliance. The moon, now a slender crescent, casts a faint, silvery glow across the sleeping Chinampas, illuminating their shadowy forms. The air is cool and still, carrying the clean, fresh scent of the lake and the subtle, earthy aroma of damp soil. The only sounds are the uninterrupted symphony of nocturnal creatures, the persistent chirping of crickets, the rhythmic croaking of frogs, and the soft rustle of reeds in the gentle night breeze. You are completely enveloped in the peaceful quietude of this ancient landscape. You reflect on the sheer ingenuity of the Aztec people in creating such a complex and productive agricultural system in a challenging environment. It wasn't just about building islands. It was about understanding the intricate web of ecological relationships and harnessing natural processes for their benefit. They transformed a saline lake into a fertile breadbasket, a monumental achievement that still inspires awe. A mainstream historical fact is that the Chinampas were so productive that they could feed the entire population of Tenochtitlan, which is estimated to have been between 200,000 and 300,000 people at its peak. This made it one of the largest cities in the world during the 15th century, a testament to the effectiveness of their agricultural system. Imagine feeding a city the size of modern-day Dublin with just floating gardens. It's truly incredible. The cool night air feels refreshing against your skin, a soothing caress as you contemplate the timeless wisdom embedded in this landscape. You can almost feel the deep, rich soil beneath you, teeming with unseen life, quietly performing its vital work even in the darkness. The scent of damp earth is now mingled with a faint, sweet fragrance from unseen night-blooming flowers, adding to the sensory richness of the experience. A quirky tidbit: the Aztecs sometimes used a form of natural netting or fencing made from woven reeds to protect their chinampa crops from larger animals, especially at night. These simple but effective barriers helped to secure their precious food supply. It was like a low-tech, high-efficiency security system for their veggies. As you gaze at the starry sky reflected in the calm waters of the canals, you consider the human element of the chinampa story. It wasn't just about technology and engineering. It was about the daily lives of countless individuals and families, their tireless labor, their connection to the land, and their shared reliance on the cycles of nature. This brings to mind a scholarly debate. What was the exact method of ownership and inheritance of chinampas within Aztec society? Some historians argue that chinampas were primarily communally owned by Calpulli, while others suggest that individual families or noble households held stronger claims to specific plots. It's a bit like trying to figure out who truly owns the leftovers in the fridge after a big family dinner. Everyone has a claim, but the details can be a bit murky. You feel a profound sense of connection to this ancient world, a quiet understanding of the deep wisdom it holds. The chinampas, now silent and still under the vast canopy of stars, seem to hum with a timeless energy, a testament to enduring ingenuity and harmony with the earth. The gentle sounds of the night, the vastness of the cosmos, and the quiet dignity of this agricultural marvel combine to create a deeply peaceful and comforting atmosphere. You find yourself drifting deeper into a state of profound slumber, the image of the floating gardens now a comforting presence, guiding you gently into the restorative embrace of sleep. The ancient wisdom of the Aztecs continues to flow, a quiet stream in your dreams. The moon has now moved higher in the sky, casting a more direct, silvery light that illuminates the contours of the chinampas with ethereal beauty. The intricate network of canals shimmers like molten silver, and the outlines of the distant temples are softened by the night, appearing almost dreamlike. The air is cool and refreshing, carrying the pure, clean scent of the lake and the subtle, deep aroma of fertile earth. You are utterly alone in this vast, ancient garden, surrounded by the profound stillness of the night. You reflect on the seasonal rhythms that governed life on the chinampas. The planting season, the growing season, the harvest season, each brought its own challenges and rewards, its own specific tasks and rituals. The Aztec farmers lived in intimate synchronicity with these natural cycles, their lives deeply interwoven with the ebb and flow of the agricultural year. It was a life of constant adaptation and observation, far removed from the climate-controlled environments and year-round availability of modern produce. A mainstream historical fact is that the Aztecs held numerous festivals and ceremonies throughout the agricultural year, often dedicated to deities associated with fertility, rain, and maize. These rituals were believed to ensure bountiful harvests and express gratitude for the earth's generosity. So, their farming wasn't just about hard work. It was also about celebrating the bounty of nature with impressive parades and offerings. The profound silence of the night is occasionally broken by the gentle splash of a fish jumping in a canal, or the soft whisper of the wind through the reeds. These natural sounds only deepen the sense of tranquility. You imagine the countless generations of farmers who worked these very lands, their lives a continuous thread stretching back into antiquity, each contributing to the enduring legacy of the Chinampas. A quirky tidbit: the Aztecs sometimes used a system of raised platforms or small, artificial mounds within their Chinampas to grow specific crops that required better drainage or more sunlight. This further optimized the use of space and allowed for even greater agricultural diversity. They were basically creating microclimates within their floating gardens, showing a remarkable understanding of horticulture. As you gaze across the moonlit expanse of the Chinampas, you consider the sheer scale of the environmental transformation undertaken by the Aztecs. They didn't just adapt to their environment, they actively reshaped it, turning a challenging lake into a productive agricultural landscape. This monumental undertaking speaks to a powerful collective will and an extraordinary capacity for sustained effort. This leads you to a scholarly debate. What was the extent of the Aztec Empire's influence on the agricultural practices of other Mesoamerican cultures? Some historians argue that the success of the Chinampa system inspired similar innovations in other regions. Others contend that various agricultural techniques developed independently across Mesoamerica, reflecting diverse environmental conditions and cultural traditions. It's a bit like wondering if your friend's amazing cooking inspired your own culinary experiments, or if you just secretly had a hidden talent for burning toast. The spread of knowledge and innovation in ancient times is always a fascinating question. You feel an even deeper wave of peace settling over you, a quiet surrender to the comforting embrace of the night. The Chinampas, bathed in moonlight, are a vision of serene beauty, a timeless testament to human ingenuity and harmony with nature. The rhythmic sounds of the sleeping world, the gentle shimmer of the water, and the profound stillness of the air combine to create a deeply soothing atmosphere. You find yourself drifting deeper into a state of profound slumber, the image of the floating gardens a comforting presence, guiding you gently into the restorative embrace of sleep. The ancient world cradles you in its wisdom, promising sweet dreams of verdant fields and shimmering water. The moon is now a high, brilliant orb, casting distinct, silvery reflections on the calm surface of the canals. The air is cool and still, permeated by the fresh, clean scent of the lake and the deep, earthy aroma of the fertile soil. You can almost feel the cool dampness rising from the water, a gentle mist that invigorates the night air. The sounds of the nocturnal world are consistent and calming, the steady chirping of crickets, the soft croaking of frogs, and the gentle whisper F the wind through the reeds. You feel completely at ease, a silent observer in this ancient, tranquil landscape. You reflect on the crucial role that water management played in the success of the Chinampas. It wasn't just about having water, it was about managing its flow, its salinity, and its depth. The Aztecs understood the delicate balance of their aquatic environment and developed sophisticated techniques to maintain it, ensuring the continued productivity of their floating gardens. It was a constant hydrological ballet, a testament to their engineering prowess. A mainstream historical fact is that the Aztecs also developed a complex system of aqueducts to bring fresh spring water from the mainland to Tenochtitlan, ensuring a clean drinking supply for the city's inhabitants. This, combined with their water management on the lake, shows a truly comprehensive approach to urban water infrastructure. They really had their water situation sorted, unlike some modern cities. The profound stillness of the night allows you to appreciate the subtle textures of the chinempas, the smooth surface of the water, the rough edges of the reed-lined banks, the soft give of the damp earth underfoot. You imagine the meticulous care that went into shaping and maintaining these details, each contributing to the overall efficiency and beauty of the system. A quirky tidbit: the Aztecs sometimes used the ashes from their cooking fires as a form of potassium-rich fertilizer for their chinempas. This demonstrated their resourceful approach to waste management and their understanding of nutrient cycling, turning something seemingly useless into something vital for growth. They were truly pioneers in the reduce, reuse, recycle movement, long before it became a hashtag. As you continue to absorb the serene beauty of the moonlit chinempas, you consider the powerful symbolism of these floating gardens within Aztec culture. They were not just a source of food. They represented their connection to the earth, their divine favor, and their ability to transform their environment. They were a tangible expression of their identity and their prosperity. This brings to mind a scholarly debate. To what extent did the chinempa system rely on forced labor or tributary obligations from conquered peoples? Some historians argue that while much of the labor was communal, the empire's vast size and military might suggest that some chinempa construction and maintenance might have involved non-consensual labor from subjugated territories. Others contend that the economic benefits and the importance of chinempas to the empire meant that the system was largely sustained by willing participants. It's a bit like trying to figure out if your chores are truly voluntary, or if your parents' subtle threats are actually veiled commands. The dynamics of power and labor in ancient empires are always complex and open to interpretation. You feel a profound sense of calm washing over you, a comfortable embrace as the night deepens. The chinempas, bathed in the soft glow of the moon, are a vision of enduring peace and quiet strength. The rhythmic sounds of the sleeping world, the gentle shimmer of the water, and the vastness of the starry sky combine to create a deeply soothing atmosphere. You find yourself drifting deeper into a state of profound slumber, the image of the floating gardens a comforting presence, guiding you gently into the restorative embrace of sleep. The ancient wisdom of the Aztecs, quiet and profound, cradles you in its timeless embrace. The moon is now beginning its slow descent towards the western horizon, its light becoming softer and more elongated, casting long, silvery shadows across the chinempas. The air is cool and still, carrying the clean, earthy scent of the lake and the rich aroma of damp soil. You can feel the profound stillness of the pre-dawn hours, a world suspended between the darkness of night and the promise of a new day. The sounds of nocturnal life are less pronounced now, as if the creatures of the night are also beginning to wind down their activities. You reflect on the innovative tools and techniques the Aztecs developed specifically for chinempa agriculture. From the simple yet effective digging stick, koa, to specialized baskets and small hand tools, every implement was designed to work efficiently with the unique conditions of the floating gardens. They were masters of appropriate technology, proving that complex problems don't always require complex solutions. A mainstream historical fact is that the Aztecs also developed advanced systems for storing their harvested crops, including granaries and pits, to ensure food security during lean seasons or unexpected events. This careful planning and foresight were crucial for sustaining their large population and empire. So, they weren't just good at growing, they were also excellent at stockpiling, ensuring no one went hungry even when the harvest wasn't in. The cold. All damp air feels refreshing on your face, a subtle invigoration in the quietude of the night. You imagine the faint mist that might rise from the water's surface just before dawn, giving the Chinampas an ethereal, otherworldly appearance. The silence is deep, broken only by the very softest sounds of the natural world, a gentle lullaby. A quirky tidbit: the Aztecs sometimes constructed small, decorative bridges made of reeds and light wood, spanning the narrow canals between Chinampas. These were not only practical for movement, but also added to the picturesque beauty of the floating landscape. Imagine your garden having its own miniature, charming bridge. As you continue to absorb the profound tranquility of the moonlit Chinampas, you consider the human element of resilience embodied by this system. Despite periods of environmental challenge, political upheaval, and eventually conquest, the Chinampas persisted, adapted, and continued to provide sustenance. They are a testament to the enduring human spirit and its capacity for innovation and survival. This brings to mind a scholarly debate. To what extent did the decline of the Chinampa system after the Spanish conquest contribute to the broader collapse of Aztec society? Some historians argue that the destruction or neglect of the Chinampas by the Spanish, coupled with disease and new agricultural practices, severely impacted the food supply and contributed to the depopulation of the region. Others contend that the Chinampas were remarkably resilient and that their decline was a gradual process over centuries, influenced by a multitude of factors. It's a complex historical puzzle, like trying to figure out which single ingredient ruined a perfect meal, when in reality, it was probably a combination of things, including forgetting to preheat the oven. You feel a deep sense of peacefulness settling over you, a comfortable quietude that invites complete surrender to sleep. The Chinampas, still and serene under the fading moonlight, are a powerful symbol of enduring life and ancient wisdom. The rhythmic sounds of the sleeping world, the gentle shimmer of the water, and the profound silence of the pre-dawn hours combine to create a deeply soothing atmosphere. You find yourself drifting deeper into a state of profound slumber, the image of the floating gardens a comforting presence, guiding you gently into the restorative embrace of sleep. The ancient world embraces you, a soft lullaby whispered on the pre-dawn breeze. The first faint blush of dawn is now painting the eastern sky, a delicate whisper of rose and lavender appearing above the distant horizon. The moon, now a pale ghost in the western sky, is rapidly diminishing, yielding its reign to the approaching sun. The air is crisp and cool, imbued with the pure, clean scent of the lake and the subtle, deep aroma of damp, fertile earth. The world of the Chinampas is in its deepest slumber, a moment of profound peace before the gentle stirrings of a new day. You reflect on the spiritual significance of the Chinampas to the Aztec people. They were not merely agricultural fields. They were sacred spaces, imbued with the life-giving power of the gods. The act of cultivating them was a form of communion with the divine, a respectful partnership with nature. This deep spiritual connection fostered a profound sense of stewardship and responsibility towards the land. A mainstream historical fact is that the Aztecs believed their capital, Tenochtitlan, was founded on a divine omen, an eagle perched on a prickly pear cactus, devouring a snake. This image became the symbol of their city and is still featured on the Mexican flag, highlighting the profound connection between their identity and their unique environment. It's a truly iconic origin story, a reminder that even cities built on mud can have very lofty ideals. The silence is profound, almost tangible, broken only by the very softest sounds of the natural world. The distant splash of a fish, the faint rustle of reeds in the barely perceptible breeze. You can almost feel the earth awakening, slowly stirring from its nightly slumber, ready to receive the first kiss of the sun. The air is incredibly fresh, a cleansing breath before the day's warmth sets in. A quirky tidbit: the Aztecs sometimes cultivated a type of dye plant called cochineal on prickly pear cacti, which were often grown along the drier edges of the chinampas or on nearby land. This tiny insect produced a vibrant red dye that was highly valued throughout Mesoamerica. So, their agricultural system wasn't just about food. It was also about high-value exports, showing a savvy understanding of natural resources. As you absorb the tranquil beauty of the pre-dawn chinampas, you consider the enduring lessons they offer to modern society. In a world grappling with food security and environmental degradation, the Aztec floating gardens stand as a powerful example of sustainable agriculture, ingenious engineering, and harmonious living. They remind you that innovation doesn't always mean high-tech solutions. Sometimes, it means deeply understanding and working with nature. This brings to mind a scholarly debate. To what extent did the ecological knowledge of the Aztecs contribute to the longevity and productivity of the Chinampa system? Some historians argue that their deep understanding of local ecosystems, passed down through generations, was paramount to its success. Others contend that the sheer human labor and organizational capacity were equally, if not more, important. It's a bit like trying to decide whether your amazing garden is due to your green thumb or just the endless hours you spend watering and weeding. The interplay of knowledge and effort is always a complex dance. You feel a profound sense of calm washing over you, a deep and peaceful release as the first light of dawn begins to touch the ancient world. The Chinampas, still and serene, are a beautiful testament to the enduring power of nature and human ingenuity. The rhythmic sounds of the world stirring, the gentle shimmer of the water, and the profound quietude of the pre-dawn hours combine to create a deeply soothing atmosphere. You find yourself drifting deeper into a state of profound slumber, the image of the floating gardens a comforting presence, guiding you gently into the restorative embrace of sleep. The ancient world, quiet and wise, cradles you in its timeless peace. The eastern sky is now ablaze with the vibrant colors of sunrise. Streaks of fiery orange, soft rose, and brilliant gold spread across the horizon, pushing back the last remnants of night. The moon has vanished entirely, and the first golden rays of the sun are beginning to touch the highest peaks of the distant volcanoes, then slowly spread across the vast expanse of the Chinampas. The greens are awakening, regaining their full, vivid intensity, shimmering with dew. The air is crisp, cool, and infused with the pure, invigorating scent of a new day. You hear the first joyful chorus of birds, a symphony of awakening, and the faint, distant sounds of human activity beginning to stir in Tenochtitlan. You reflect on the sheer artistry involved in creating and maintaining these living landscapes. It was more than just farming. It was an ongoing act of creation, a continuous shaping of the environment to produce life and beauty. Every carefully placed mud layer, every nurtured seed, every dredged canal contributed to this living masterpiece. A mainstream historical fact is that the Chinampa system was so effective that even after the Spanish conquest and the subsequent draining of much of Lake Texcoco, some areas of Chinampas in Xochimilco continued to be cultivated for centuries, and many are still in use today. This remarkable longevity is a testament to their inherent sustainability and adaptability. They truly were built to last, proving that a good mud foundation can outperform concrete sometimes. The sun's warmth begins to touch your face, a gentle, comforting sensation that signals the full arrival of day. You feel the subtle shift in the air temperature, a delightful transition from the cool of the night to the promise of warmth. The scent of fresh water and damp earth is stronger now, invigorating and life-affirming. You observe the tiny droplets of dew clinging to the leaves, glistening like diamonds in the early light, a reminder of the night's gentle embrace. A quirky tidbit. The Aztecs sometimes used a special type of hollow gourds or clay pots as natural traps for certain aquatic insects that were considered pests, or as food sources for fish in the canals. This simple yet effective method demonstrates their detailed understanding of their aquatic environment and their innovative problem solving. They really had a "there's a tool for that" mentality, even when the tool was just a gourd. As you stand amidst the awakening chinempas, bathed in the golden light of the rising sun, you feel a profound sense of connection to this ancient and magnificent world. The story of the Aztec floating gardens is not just a tale of agricultural ingenuity. It's a story of resilience, adaptation, community, and a deep respect for the natural world. It's a reminder that true abundance comes not from exploitation, but from harmonious partnership with the earth. This brings to mind a scholarly debate. What was the ultimate factor in the decline of the Chinempa system in the centuries following the Spanish conquest? Some historians point to the introduction of new European agricultural techniques, the shift in land ownership, and the large-scale drainage projects by the Spanish. Others emphasize the long-term environmental changes in the valley and the disruption of indigenous social structures. It's a bit like trying to pinpoint the exact moment your favorite restaurant started going downhill. Was it the new chef, the change in ownership, or just the fact that they ran out of your favorite dish? The true answer is likely a complex stew of interconnected factors. You feel a gentle, pervasive calm settling over you, a deep peace that resonates with the quiet strength of the awakening chinempas. The rhythmic sounds of the new day beginning, the gentle rustle of leaves, and the shimmering light on the water combine to create a deeply soothing atmosphere. You find yourself drifting deeper into a state of profound slumber, the image of the floating gardens a comforting presence, guiding you gently into the restorative embrace of sleep. The ancient world, vibrant and wise, softly whispers its lullaby, a timeless story of earth, water, and human ingenuity, carrying you deeper into a peaceful dream. So, as the last echoes of the ancient Aztec world gently fade, and the image of their incredible floating gardens softly recedes, you find yourself completely enveloped in a profound quietude. The air around you feels softer, cooler, carrying only the faintest whisper of a breeze. Imagine yourself now drifting on a calm, still lake, the water beneath you perfectly smooth and dark, reflecting the gentle glow of a distant, comforting light. There are no worries here, no tasks to complete, no thoughts that demand your attention. Your body feels heavy and relaxed, sinking deeper into the soft support beneath you, as if you are gently suspended in a warm, dark current. Each breath you take is slow and even, a gentle rhythm that soothes your mind and body. You can almost feel the gentle current carrying you, effortlessly, towards a deeper state of rest. Let any remaining thoughts simply float away, like tiny leaves on the water's surface, disappearing into the vastness of the night. You are safe, you are warm, and you are utterly peaceful. The world outside is dimming, fading into a soft, blurry landscape. Allow your eyelids to grow heavy, to close completely, embracing the comforting darkness. Your mind is quiet, still, a calm pool reflecting nothing but the profound peace within you. You are drifting now, gently, effortlessly, towards the deepest, most restorative sleep. Just let go and allow yourself to be carried away by the gentle rhythm of the night. Sleep deeply, sleep soundly, until the sun gently awakens you once more.